welcome to Navigating the New Paradigm. And this is a place where we navigate the new paradigm together and have an open mind, express and navigate through all these issues, and take the pieces that resonate and leave the rest behind.
Yeah.
So today what I've been getting a lot of questions about is choices, really a lot of awareness as to, I think people are more self-aware. Definitely I'm seeing a spike in where people are usually just oblivious, seeing more self-awareness. And so people are afraid to make decisions because of that, not sure what the right decision is. So choices and manifestation, and it seems, I know we went through a time where that was really a buzzword. You know, we went through a couple of years there was a buzzword in mindfulness and those things, but that's starting to fade away. But the people that really it resonated with, there's a younger generation out there that you know, it's just starting to get into this. So I think that I've had some epiphanies lately with how that works. Actually, it's one thing to know all this information, but then we still have to live in the experience of it, right? So
exactly, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Right, like knowing how to navigate it, knowing how to actually work it so it works for us. You know, it's just like having an instruction manual.
Right.
We all just want this instruction manual to do it the right way.
Right.
So I think that Bashar, I've been following him for years, but I came across a couple videos, and I think we're going to share one that really talks about how we manifest, how it's all there. And I had expressed before how time is like, and somebody said little slide shots, right?
Yes.
That all exists on parallel dimensions, and our consciousness feeds through that so fast that it feels like we're actually moving.
Right, that's very cool.
And I was watching the interview with Bashar, not the interview, but the Bashar video earlier, and thinking, wow, that's an interesting way to look at it. And then I thought, so it's great that we're going to be showing a few minutes of that. And then also I thought we could talk about using the why affirmation as another way to manifest.
Yeah, and I definitely have an experience with that working, so we know that works.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so do you want to just launch into the Bashar view here? It's not all that long. Anyone who's watching, it's what'd you say, about 3 or 4 minutes?
3 minutes, 50 seconds, about 4 minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
Great.
So let's see.
Manifestation of things into your reality is not the manifestation of something from somewhere else coming into your reality. Manifestation is the result of simply changing your frequency to the degree where you can simply start to perceive what has already been here, but was heretofore invisible to you. Because everything is here and now. Every experience you could ever have, every thought you could ever have, every object you could ever experience in your reality is all right here, right now with you. All in your energy, all in the codex of your theme of exploration in this life. It's all there holographically. But you only see what you are on the same vibratory level of. So manifestation is simply changing your vibration to make visible what is already here, but was heretofore invisible. Does that make sense? So don't think of it, don't define manifestation as having to attract something from somewhere else, so far away you don't know where it's coming from. It's all right here. You have it all. You have it all, you just don't know it yet. That's all. That's the difference. Now, the whole concept of this law of attraction, again, let us remind you that there is an underlying perspective that many of you are not quite getting about how the law of attraction actually functions. So let us just briefly share this with you at this time so you have a truly full understanding of this mechanism, of this concept. The way that many of you are talking about it isn't wrong, because you talk about the idea of, yes, you have to be of a certain vibratory level in order to attract a certain thing that is commensurate with that vibration. Yes, that's true, and we have said so ourselves. But the idea, more precisely, is this. You are already a signature vibration. It's who you are. It's your identity. You give that vibration off, the vibration of your true self, all the time. You can't help yourself. You just leak it and radiate it outward all the time. That's who you are. You're giving that frequency, that signature frequency off constantly. All the things that are representative of that frequency are doing their best to get to you, to manifest for you. If they don't, it's not because you're not attracting them, it's because you're keeping them away. That's the difference. And all the things that are not compatible with your vibration, in that sense, they are doing their best to attempt to get away from you, as far away from you as they possibly can. If they are not leaving your reality, it's not because that you are, in that sense, doing something wrong, per se. It's just that you're not letting them go. So the idea is not so much that you have to learn to attract. The idea is that you simply have to let go of the things that are attempting to get away from you and just let in the things that are attempting to get to you. That's actually the core of how the law of attraction works. You're already on the vibratory frequency at your core. That is the frequency that attracts all the things that are relevant for your life, for you as a joyful person, for you as a loving, creative, loved person. You just need to let go of the things that are not compatible with that signature frequency. That's really all you have to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So for me, I was thinking that I understood how time worked and how parallel realities based on other information that I had learned, but I was stuck on another teaching by Marina Jacobi about waveform, which is our energy signature and how that operates, but our emotions actually manifest, and I mentioned this before, our emotions, what manifests is certain energy that causes plasma, which actually creates on the 3D realm. But I had this epiphany moment that, oh my gosh, no. And I've said it 100 times, but it never clicked. Time is all on this, I draw the picture where I have all the points, right? So if that's the case and it's all there, there's no manifestation of plasma. It already exists. It's consciousness being fed through these slides, right? These points of time. And so I just had that epiphany moment. Oh my gosh, there's no plasma. It's the emotion that changes your vibration of your body to attract that slide to you, so your consciousness can get to the slide. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Frozen frame.
Yes.
And emotion is always brought up as one of the key ingredients to drawing whatever it is that we're talking about toward us.
Right. So yeah, I just had just this epiphany moment. Like, now emotion is very important, obviously, because it's going to control your vibration to a certain extent. I mean, that's what it's all about. What you're feeling is how you're vibrating. And I thought it was interesting what, in my experience, when I went through some of these changes and I started becoming more positive and joyful, gratitude, very high vibrations, people around me just disappeared. And so when he said that the things that are not at your vibratory rate.
What do you mean disappeared?
They literally, they just kind of did their own thing, went their separate ways, I would stop receiving phone calls. People just aren't in my life anymore.
Oh, interesting.
And so I find it, very matching that when he says that when you're at a certain vibration, the stuff that is not vibrating with you will try to get away. And so as I'm vibrating at this, and I go through all these life changes where I'm really making these positive changes, all the things that were vibrating at a different rate and that were more of the negative, judgment, all the grief and, all the negative vibrations and emotions slowly just dissipated out of my life.
That's very
And all the great things that I wanted showed up.
Cool.
I was manifesting left and right. And especially in the beginning, I noticed it more. I still am manifesting like crazy.
So that makes me wonder about the idea of faking it until you make it. I mean, do we fake our positive emotions or what's your experience with it?
Well, I think that somebody told me it's like acting, really. And I think there is something to that. And that came up in my meeting on Friday.
Oh,
and it's like faking it till you make it. And I said, yes, but with a positive, you got to, because that comes with a real negative It
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's really about what you feel. And Maria Jacobi is actually the one that told me this. Stepping outside, and Rupert Spira confirms it, stepping outside into awareness and
Right.
observing it like it's a movie, then reassessing your energy until you're where you need to be at that frequency of joy and gratitude.
And,
Because
and,
it's so important not to let your vibration drop.
and also, I suppose there's an element of really coming to terms with whether or not I deserve whatever it is that I'm putting out there.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're going to have to go through all that self-growth and that self-change. That's part of it, because you're going to have subconscious things that are going to, it's a process. It is such a long, tedious process.
Right. Because if I don't feel like
Never
I'm
ending.
there's something really deep-seated where I'm not feeling like I'm deserving it, then I am, like Bashar is talking about, pushing it away.
Right. Well, because you're going to vibrate at that rate.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So I wonder if, how sometimes when something that's unpleasant or whatever happens to you, and people go, oh, those things always come in threes. Oh, what's the third bad thing that's going to happen? And I wonder if you're holding that energy there where you're in that mode of, oh my gosh, when's the next shoe going to drop, that actually draws that to you.
Right, absolutely.
So.
And when we get in that rut and we think, oh, it's just all going downhill, I'm in the downward spiral.
Right.
And you're feeling like that. And I don't know why I didn't make the connection before. I even knew that when we pray for somebody, that prayer was about vibration. And when people usually hit their knees and really will pray, it's because they're in a very low vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just can't take it anymore, just in that low. And so when you can get to that place where you're in that high, and then you ask, it's a different thing.
Right.
And so you see a lot more prayers answered. But really the logistics behind it is the science of it, not necessarily the...
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's interesting when you hit the wall in desperation. Sometimes I think that you're at a point in your life where all bets are off. You're just willing to let everything go in order to bring something new in.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the things I wanted to bring up too, is do we have to get to that place to make these changes? A lot of, and talking to my son, he says that he would love to really spread this and do more of this, but it seems like people have to have that jolt to even entertain the philosophies.
Yeah, there seems to be some kind of something that actually Rupert talks about how the consciousness, the awareness itself draws the attention towards that to you. So I don't know that it necessarily has to be some gigantic moment, but for many people it is. But maybe as we're moving into this new paradigm, that it's just going to be automatic, that people are, there's so much out there, they're just going to be more aware of what's the bigger picture and what are we here for, and those kinds of things. So it won't require a death.
Right. And for me, it took that darkness,
What's that?
For me, it took that darkness.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Good.
Although I can say that growing up, though, I was always there. When I would participate in bad behaviors or things, I knew this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, and I would literally feel like I was moving backwards. I knew that I was supposed to be evolving.
Yes.
We could say that most of it is a program. We're programmed not to seek. We are programmed to just worship something that's above us.
Right.
Have that intermediary. We can't control all these things. This is all out of our control.
Right.
And I think that that's where the disconnect sometimes is the teachings and the programming, right?
Yes.
We get to the darkness for that moment and realize this teaching is bullshit.
Right.
I don't want to do it this way anymore.
Exactly. And the other thing is and the other thing is that we're so hit all the time, especially nowadays with all the social media and the Twitter and this and that and Facebook and everything else, that we're moving, like a rat on a, what do they call it? The rat on the wheel. And so, there's just so much out there that
keeps you distracted. You're distracted from these types of deep, where you're really looking in, because it's all about going in, right?
Yes.
I mean, nothing is to go back, it's all just a movie, right? On the outside. But everything that happens and takes place on the inside. Once you come out of that darkness and you get a taste of this,
Yes.
then that's where the real seeking happens, because this is something that you taste for the first time that feels right, really right.
A taste
Yes.
of what, sure?
A taste of that awareness, a taste of, for me, coming out of that darkness, from being a drug user, really being that far away from what my natural state is as a vibratory being, as a God type being.
Right.
Going, I knew that I was not where I needed to be, you know, and then, so I was seeking, and then I came across information that it's just started hitting that spot, you know what I mean? And it started with meditation.
Yes.
And then I had those moments where I had some connection and it felt great. Then I started manifesting. I started realizing, oh my gosh, this stuff is true.
Yeah.
These teachings are real. This is more real than anything I've experienced. This is who I truly am. And so then you have a couple peak moments of that, that complete alignment.
So for
And
people just tuning in, how would you in a nutshell, how would you describe that process?
A long, tedious process.
In a nutshell, really.
I mean, I don't know if I have a nutshell for it.
It's hard to put into words.
Yeah, it is very difficult. We don't quite have the English language for it, it seems.
I don't think we do, yeah.
I'll give it a shot. So basically, for me, it's just really getting quiet, slowing my breathing down, slowing everything down, and just realizing what it is that's actually looking through my eyes. I mean, that's how I do it sometimes. Just like realizing that there's an awareness that's powering my whole life experience. And that'd be maybe one way to say it, and just sort of settling back into that awareness. It's always been that this is like an awareness that's before emotions, before thinking, before feeling. It's that sort of background awareness that's always there, that always has been and always will be. So it's that background awareness I'm talking about, and just being able to settle back into that is an interesting idea and an interesting exercise. And when I find that I can do that, when I just like settle back, take a breath, and just chill, right? Just for a few minutes to just like become aware of the awareness that I have in my head or my heart, wherever that's centered. Be aware of the awareness is sort of how I would put it in a nutshell.
Right. I would say that coming directly out of hardcore addiction and being in that place, those were just abstract ideas in the beginning.
Yes.
It was really difficult to, I could hear it. I knew I wanted to do it, but to actually experience it was almost impossible at those early stages. It was like, I had to get a piece and I had to devour that piece and understand it. And then I would go and get the next piece and devour that and understand it. Some of it was more than my body was able to take in, more information than I could comprehend. And then later, after I would build up to it, then I would go back and revisit these things and be able to comprehend them. And they became the next piece.
But it's interesting, Shar, because we talked last time about the idea that things are speeding up. And for some people, that it took 8 years. Now some people are getting on the bandwagon in like 8 weeks. You're on that same train, and conceivably that could get shorter and shorter.
Right. Yeah. I guess it depends on where you're starting from.
That's exactly right.
And what programming you're trying to overcome. Programming is the biggie. Peeling. It's literally like peeling layers off one at a time. And then exposing like a wound, exposing it to the air for the first time, letting it get hardened, and then you know what I mean. It's really peeling it back.
That seems so tedious, though. I mean, I realize that's the way it's been in the past. I like to entertain the idea that we're in a time period now, a timeline where a lot of that stuff can manifest a lot faster. We were talking just as a little segue here to the other way of manifesting that we were talking about. Sandy and I discovered this and we shared it with you a while back. The idea of the why affirmations. And so this falls under the heading of different ways to manifest stuff.
And choices. This can help with choices too, and making choices.
Yes.
And so the basic idea is to phrase anything that you're wanting to attract into your life, to phrase it as a question rather than, you know, I'd like to have, you know, $10,000 in my bank account. The way you would rephrase it is, you know, why is there $10,000 in my bank account, or why is there always enough food in my refrigerator? That's one that you used a while back, and something about phrasing it as a why question causes, without trying to answer it, causes the subconscious to start working on that question and manifesting an answer for us.
I think there's more to it now that we are talking about frequency of emotion. When you say it, you're solidifying it as it already is. And I'm wondering if you're vibrating at a rate as it already exists, because we know it already exists. That parallel reality, that reality of my refrigerator not having enough room for all the food I have already exists somewhere on that time grid.
And the other thing is when you say it.
So I manifest to get to that point, right? I got to vibrate to get there.
Right. But, and what I say is also when you say it, you know, why is it so easy for me to just fill in any blank? It feels more like, as you said, that something that maybe has already happened or is right there ready to come to me, but it also feels good and it feels light. You know, there's something that's, I think because of the feeling of making the statement that automatically makes you kind of feel good just to say it. Again, that brings us back to the beginning where we're talking about the feeling behind it, a positive feeling, you know, where we're kind of in a joyful place. Maybe not joyful is the word, but at least, you know, it's definitely feels good to say.
Right.
So that would also be part of it, having it show up.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in phrasing it, it's basically an assumption that is made in the phrasing of the question.
That it's going to happen, whatever
it's going to happen.
Or really that it's already existing. You're asking like almost like past tense, really.
Yeah, exactly.
That it already exists. And now you're asking, why do I have this?
Now, of course, the challenge is to be able to say that kind of thing with a straight face when the shit's hitting the fan.
Right.
That's when it's hard to do that.
I've had nothing but positive success with it, even when the shit's been hitting the fan. But I don't have very many shit hitting the fan moments anymore. I've been able to weed those out, you know, because of my vibration, being very cognizant of my vibration.
That's
you are.
Yes,
that's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I am a testament to the fact that this stuff really works.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that we can use all these things for choices. And that seems to be the issues is so people are afraid to make the wrong choice because they don't know what they want their future to look a certain way.
Right.
And so I think that by manifesting or doing why affirmations, the manifesting is really just really watching the vibration. You're going to pull those choices to you. The choice will come to you when you're vibrating a certain way. And it's not. And then the next choice comes because you have taken your consciousness with your vibration and put it in the dimension that it needs to be in, the reality it needs to be in, that is best for you.
Exactly. And that brings us also to following your bliss. So if something feels like, you know, I mean, more than anything in the world, I want to go and do X, Y, or Z, then go and do that. And more than likely, it's going to be the right thing at that moment. So it's like following what feels to you that has the strongest calling that presents the most joy to you when you think about doing it. And that also goes along with what we're saying here.
Right, because when it feels good, then your vibration is where it needs to be.
Yes.
And you stay within that parallel reality that you're calling the other vibratory slides, so to say, the picture slides to you, and repelling all other things that don't match that vibration.
Exactly. And the other thing that I'll bring up here, and I'm sure we've all had this experience multiple times, but I know that sometimes when I make a choice and and I'm getting ready to do that, whatever it is, or I'm in the process of even actually following through, there's a voice in my head that's telling me that's not the right way to go. No, I'm like, no, this will be fine.
That's the voice.
No, it's not. You shouldn't be doing. Yeah, no, come on. Oh, it'll be fine. I'll go away. And so, and always when anything went wrong or whatever, that voice I didn't listen to. So that's all. We've all had that experience. So I try to pay attention now, because even if I feel like it might be the right choice and that voice starts going in my head, and I just stop now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Same thing here. Anytime the voice told me to do something and I went a different direction, I always had to come back and do exactly what the voice told me. I could have saved a lot of time and a lot of energy. I just would have listened the first time.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So is that a separre conversation?
I think it sort of goes along. We're talking about making choices, or manifesting.
Yeah, because when you're asking for something to come into your life, I suppose you do want to be cognizant of any kind of inner prompting that might be saying, no, don't go that way.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this is a little point.
Yeah, no, and you're right. When you become more aware of your vibration, you become aware of that voice in those little things. You become very attuned to what energy feels like. And then when you can tell when you're out of alignment, when your emotions have gotten the best of you and you may be not vibrating where you need to be.
Right.
That's all those things really play. It's a very multifaceted, we are very complex, multidimensional, multifaceted beings.
Isn't it exciting?
It's very exciting.
Sure.
There's just so many levels to it.
Yes, I know so much.
I'm wondering, Shar, if you could share your that one experience you had with the Y affirmation with.
Or one of them.
Yeah, the truck. So that was a huge one, right?
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, we had a vehicle, and we need to buy a bigger vehicle. I have 5 kids, and not enough room for all of us. And we didn't want to finance anything. We want to trade the vehicle in, and we want to get a minivan. So we're like, I don't know, like $3,000 short. So my husband was going to drive this other vehicle, whatever. We're taking a walk, and I tell them that David and Sandy had introduced this Y affirmation when we're on our walk. And so I said, why do we have so many vehicles? We don't know what to do with them. And 5 hours later, his parents called and said, your dad just went and bought a new truck. Do you want his old truck for work? So we were then able to trade the car in to cover the $3,000 deficit to get the minivan, right?
That is so cool. That's a great story.
But actually, we didn't end up doing that. Instead, we ended up getting new windows. But and we ended up having the truck for, but the point is that and the refrigerator one was done on the same walk. It was before Thanksgiving. And I just said, I want that was the last time I said it. Why do I have so much food that I don't have room for all of it? And that has not stopped. That manifestation has not stopped.
Wow, that is
so the next day, his mom came over and said all the stuff was on sale. It was I literally have not had enough room for all the food.
That is so cool.
So, coming from somebody that was raised in poverty and everything always being so bleak, that was just one of the things I always wanted to always have a pantry full of food. And, just anything I wanted like that. And it is a really awesome feeling. And to see it not dwindle, like it is constantly just being replenished. And I think because I believe in it and I feel it, and and I stay in that vibration, that's why it continues to. And some people would have the fear of it disappearing.
Yes.
That's often an issue. And then what happens is you vibrate at that. You start to lower your vibration, and that's when you start to see your manifestations dissipate because you're lowering your vibration.
Exactly.
But I've stayed in that joy and gratitude every day since all these things started. I've been doing this for a few years, but the Y affirmations are huge. Definitely. I would recommend them to anybody.
Everybody.
Do
it anywhere, anytime. So
it's another tool to navigate. Definitely.
Yes.
It's just like an instruction booklet on how to get what you need.
Exactly.
Really.
Well, those are great. Those are great stories. Thanks for those. Those are great. So, anything else?
Anything else on these topics?
I don't know, Dave.
Yeah, I wanted to dial up
Oh, he's going to dial up.
short talk here. It's just only a couple, 2 or 3 minutes long, but Sandy and I listened to it the other night and really liked, especially what he was saying here. So go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Okay. What else do we have? Oh, I wanted to ask you, Sandy, about, okay, so in this exploration of different teachings and lifestyles, the pineal gland comes up, fluoride.
Yes.
I actually stopped drinking tap water. I used to drink gallons a day just because you need water, and I was always on this drive to flush my system, and I want to be healthy. Well, one day I got my water bill that had the yearly report in it, and I saw what was in my water, and I about passed out.
Wow.
I wonder why I don't feel good. I probably have lead poisoning and every other thing that's in this water, right?
Right.
But then as I got on this path and I started drinking distilled water even before this, I was feeling much better. And then I realized that could have been what caused me to even seek out more, is because I was naturally decalcifying my pineal gland and getting all these toxins out of my system on accident.
Yeah.
Not with a goal in mind.
Yes.
But once I stopped and I got fluoride completely out of my system, we don't have it in anything.
Right.
We use herbal toothpaste. I make sure that everything is free from all these toxins, and not just fluoride. Several different chemicals.
Yes.
Breaking down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just went to the dentist, and he said, you have to have fluoride or your teeth are going to fall out. And so I guess I'm at this, and he said, we're talking about different levels here. He said, it's just like table salt. And I said, well, I don't use table salt either. I have literally removed all these things, because anything that is going to affect me in that way, I'm just very cognizant about all that stuff, right?
Sure.
I'm because it's so important to me to really have that holistic view. It really all goes together, all of it, and it all has to be in balance.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was wondering what you guys thought as far as that goes with the chemicals.
Well, I'm just thinking about it now. Yes, certainly we've tried to cut as much as we can, with the chemicals, and we're trying to eat organic as much as possible. And we're aware of, seafood and various things. And we do the distilled water. We aren't a well here, but we do distill water. About the fluoride thing, though, I'm also, I'm really just thinking about this now as we're talking, because we've been using the natural toothpaste, whatever, Tom's or whatever, for quite a while. But I think there's a balance with things, especially, people say that fluoride is really important for your teeth. And it does make a difference. It has made a difference in the kids today, from the kids way back when we had every tooth in our mouth was filled with fillings. So I know that does affect your teeth. And so I think maybe there's a balance. It's like, okay, have a little fluoride toothpaste, but maybe you only use it once, periodically. But
right. Yeah. See, this is why I'm in complete agreement. And I'm wondering, he's saying, the scientists of today and the research is just not, it's such a small amount of fluoride that we need. And I said, well, I know what the cons are. What are the pros? I need you to sell this to me, right?
Yeah.
And he said that it helps things circulate, the enamel circulate, and it bonds with another agent. And I didn't, it was a scientific, which I expected. And he had an answer for me. So that was better than, I said it was a neurotoxin. He asked me why, and I said, because it's a neurotoxin.
Right. Well, it's interesting that there are very few dentists that are aware or are concerned or think about or, are involved in that component of fluoride, because they're all, of course, they're all pushing it, so for teeth health. So I don't know. For me personally, I might even try, at least periodically to do some toothpaste.
Yeah, dentists are in a tremendous conflict of interest with fluoride, because they've been pushing it all their lives. If they were all of a sudden to reverse that position, they'd be liable for lawsuits.
That's
I'm
true.
going to do some research.
Let's do some research on that.
Yeah, let's revisit this topic in the future then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Absolutely. Okay, I think I might be ready with this little Rupert clip here.
Thanks for bringing
relaxation.
Yes. You see, awareness is never straining at the now. Awareness is just a wide open yes to the now. Totally lazy. Just not the slightest impulse to avoid the now. It's only I, the thought and feeling made self, that is pushing at the now, wanting it to become the next moment. The separate self lives on the edge of the now, in that becoming, right on the edge of the now, wanting the next now to happen. That is the separate self. That's all it's made out of. It's mad, and we spend our lives there at that, in that becoming, in a state of perpetual becoming. We never become what we want to become. It's always just more becoming. What we want to become is the being that is already there. Yes, it's really mad. What we are straining towards is what is already present prior to the straining, in this just being present, which is what awareness is: being present, open, aware.
Yeah, very interesting, right?
Yeah.
So that it's basically everything we're talking about doing, but he's saying, don't do it. Because you're already whole. You're already all those things, right? I mean, in our true unique selves as God beings. And this goes back to the thing I told you that I've heard over and over again, the higher beings that say, if you could see you as we see you,
yes,
none of this would matter, because they see us as these mini gods, these all-knowing, all-powerful light beings. And
right.
So,
Well, but I did like when he talks about awareness isn't straining at the now. I thought that was an interesting way of putting it, because I mean, we can still utilize these tools of the why affirmations or feeling this energy of joy, you know, in an attractive way for our experiences and everything else. But we can also recognize when we're pushing. You know, we're pushing for something, we're striving for something, we're moving fast to the edge of now, wanting the next this or the next that. And so I think that's just stopping and tuning into awareness,
Taking a breath,
and just being aware of what is aware of all of that. But that doesn't negate the fact of what we're talking about here too, it seems like to me. I mean, is that what
yeah, I was just being
I know you were kidding.
But
I know.
No, absolutely, because without taking that step back, you can't really enjoy the experience. I think you can't see it for all that it is, and really, when you're in that, where he says at the edge, striving forward, you're not really experiencing life. You're just living it.
Yes.
Not living it to the full. You know, you're not tasting and feeling and enjoying the whole purpose.
Yes.
You know, of experience.
Which also brings us to now, brings us to what's happening right now. And as you said, all these possibilities that are here in this moment, infinite possibilities of happenings, events, whatever. Everything is happening in this moment, as Bashar was saying in the beginning. It's all happening right now, right here.
Right.
So I think that helps to kind of focus back into the awareness of what's here right now, what's present right now in this moment, you know, and then whatever is called, that you feel called to do or to contemplate on or think about, you know, is there.
Well, you know, I heard somebody say a few months ago about purpose. Our big thing lately, another thing is about all of us having our purpose. You know, what is my purpose? And by saying that, you're actually putting yourself, and I never thought of it this way, you're putting yourself in a box.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you define yourself as a purpose, what my purpose is, you are getting rid of the possibility of limitation. You are narrowing it. And so I thought, well, I don't want a purpose then, you know.
Right.
I want all of it. So yeah, and I had been in that where I was striving for the purpose. The purpose, gotta find the purpose, right?
Or accomplishing something. What am I, what am I wanting to accomplish, or what am I accomplishing, or have I accomplished enough? As I was speaking about it the other day, when I think about, fate meeting the end of life, it's like, well, what have I done in my life, and what have I accomplished? And, all these things that are part of our conditioning and programming, here. Yeah, it's interesting. What about just breathing? All right, now, how about if that's your biggest accomplishment?
And you know what? And truthfully, with the way that we've been programmed in the monkey mind, that is an accomplishment.
Right.
Being able to taste that awareness for me, like I said before, they were just all abstract thoughts and words to be able to do that. Once I actually got a taste of awareness and got that feeling of alignment, that was a hell of an accomplishment.
And what if that's our highest goal? Is just being able to recognize who we truly are, and then as we are more and more grounded in as you have said a little while ago, this amazing being that we are. What if that's like the highest purpose we could possibly envision right there?
It's funny that you say that. I start off a lot of times when I run into people, they ask, how did I start on this path? And we touched on it a little bit ago. But when I went into recovery, I had a counselor that asked me, who was I? And I had no idea who I was, right? And that was my first, I got to figure out who the hell I am, because I said the things that we say.
Yes.
That were part of my story. It was just a story, that's not who I was. Now when people ask who I am, I say that I'm infinite consciousness, exploring and experiencing through this body.
Yeah, I love that.
And so in the rooms that I'm in, they're like, huh? What? You get it. I'm going to teach you. You're going to get it.
You're going to get it, yeah.
You're going to have the same answer soon enough.
Why are you going to get it so good?
Easily. So that's wonderful. I love that. So just tuning into time, it's 5 till 6. So I don't know if you want, just how y'all are feeling about our time here.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few other topics.
I'll keep going. I mean, I'm not in. We talked about it before. It could go on for, an hour, 15 minutes.
That's, it seems like that's what when I look at the recordings, we are somewhere between an hour and 20 and 125 is usually what they've been being.
I always forget that.
So I talked about numerology and this being year 1. That's something that came up in past meetings, and what the year 1 is how it's really getting to that peak of all this learning, and then taking that learning and starting fresh. And this does, as we get further into this year, I'm starting to kind of feel like that.
I'm kind of starting to feel it too. There's a sort of an excitement about what might be coming. Whereas a few weeks ago, I was feeling like overwhelmed with it all. It was just like too much, and a little bit of wow, which is still there. But it does, I do feel like there's a kind of excitement about, what's coming up and the possibilities. And, we keep hearing that we're going into a golden age, and so if that is true, then it's got to start happening, right? And it just feels like there's a different energy right now.
Yeah, it's, for me, what it feels like is everything we've learned, taking that and then entering as we would want into this, the goal, our complaint is that we come into this world with a mind swipe, right?
Yes.
We don't remember who we are. Yeah. And this year 1, entering to 2017, I feel like we're going in knowing who we are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? all that we've learned up until now on how to navigate really again. Mm-hmm. It's like having, I don't know, it's hard. I'm having a hard time putting words into it. It's, I heard a reference where a chief uses that, like an Indian chief or a Native American tribe, where he says, there's no real graduation. It's getting all this information and then starting at the beginning with that information.
Yeah.
So many of us would want to go through life knowing all this stuff. We talk about if I knew then what I know now, right?
Right. How about that?
We go into 2017 knowing all this
Yeah.
to navigate.
Let alone all the
Yes.
conspiracy stuff that's been going on behind the scenes that could very
I'm
well.
getting a lag.
Oh, wait, sorry, you're getting what?
I'm getting a lag. Are you getting a lag from his talking?
I was, but it cleared up.
Okay, clear it. Sorry.
All the conspiracy stuff that's going on, that conceivably, according to some of the people out there, one of which is Cliff High and others, talking about, man, a lot of stuff surfacing, possibly coming out of Antarctica. A lot of high-level officials, as we've spoken about in previous episodes, have been going down to Antarctica. Bizarre, but they should be, and the timing that they chose.
What are your feelings on it? What are you feeling? What is your gut telling you with this?
Of course, I'm always sort of like tempted to be rooting for the underdog, in this case humanity, that finally humanity gets a chance to see and know what's been held back from it all these literally centuries. But
I think there's
technologies that are involved. I think free energy might be one of the first things that comes out. But supposedly some kind of alien technology in Antarctica is sort of one of the big buzzwords that I've been hearing about. So, man, I'm looking forward to that happening.
I know. So I have no idea if it's going to be ET related, if it's going to have to do with hidden civilizations, or, all the artifacts they talk about that we might find there that would, again, as he said, let us know a lot more about our history that's been hidden and all that. So I don't know. What's your feeling about the Antarctica?
I've listened to several different talks on this, and it's between the technology, the ET stuff. Is it our civilization, us originally, or is it the entrance to the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Is it, the Stargate, the entrance to consciousness, it's pretty, whatever, it seems like it's a big deal and it's going to be a game changer. My feeling is to be a game changer.
I think so too. It must be a huge deal for the attention that it's getting, and so
or the diversion for lack of attention that they're trying to,
True.
Well, the diversionary game has been going on for a long time, and more and more people now sort of know that we've been lied to.
I mean, look at what's just happening in the media right now. This is like huge, so that all the.
Did you hear the newest thing? Why aren't people responding? They're complaining because people aren't getting upset. The shooting in the Florida airport, they're actually complaining because why aren't people losing their shit? Why are they just acting like this is just another everyday occurrence?
Yeah, right. So the powers that be are trying to pulling false flags and hoping people are going to show up in greater numbers, but they're just, at this point they're saying they're on to it.
And they were saying 83% of Americans don't believe in the whole Russian hacking propaganda. So, it's like that's a huge number of people that they're just not buying it anymore, And
it's refreshing, isn't it?
Because
I think of them training us. When I grew up in the Cold War, I was hiding under my desk for a nuclear attack.
Yes. And our bomb shelters, we had bomb shelters, right?
Yeah, we didn't have that. You guys were lucky. They told us my little wooden desk was going to save me from the nuclear attack. I remember then in school and thinking, they had us so brainwashed thinking we were better. These kids weren't allowed to wear jeans. What they did was they took the things that we enjoyed as children and made it so if you lived here, these people are so mean to their children. They never smile. They're not allowed to smile.
That's right.
That is the programming so early on. And so now, then that ended, and it was, I saw that lift. So now what I see is such a reminder of it that I literally see the programming. I can see it happening, and I don't think it's just because I'm aware now. When I see how they try to amp up the bad guy.
Yes.
And make the bad guy,
Yeah, create their false stories. It's so obvious that it's false stories. It's so obvious to so many people. Now, some people really do believe it still. You know, that's going on too. But it seems to me it's just so obvious that it's kind of interesting to watch the whole mainstream narrative just completely implode. They just don't even know what to do. They're just trying every last ditch effort to.
It's fun. It definitely is fun. And to watch from this side of it, for sure. So,
that's gratifying because finally it seems
finally
like
it's coming to light.
People are waking up, and when we're when we have all this technology, I keep coming back to technology that's been hidden. It could make such a huge difference in all of our lives. Just the free energy component. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
What it would be like to not have to pay for any energy. Look at look at all the wars have been fought over recently. It's oil, energy. That is a factor.
Right. Early on when I was first starting down this path, and I heard somebody say, to be born on a planet that you actually have to pay to live on, to have shelter and to eat and to survive.
I guess it's quite an anomaly.
Right. Those things are just, and I never even, again, it comes down to programming. You're not even taught. You're taught that that's just how it's supposed to be. And I never questioned that.
Right.
And to have that moment where you disconnect from that finally is just such a, well, first of all, I see so many people going through what I went through. There's an anger there in the beginning.
Yes.
I definitely felt a lot of anger in the beginning. But then there's a lot of healing that happens, and then you go through, I wonder if you go through almost a grief type
process. I think so. I think it's very similar, to those stages.
Yeah. So
yeah. Amazing.
But, so I'm excited. I feel good about 2017. I feel good about the Antarctica thing. I don't think they're going to be able to hide anymore like they did. I think it's all going to come out. I never thought I'd live in an age where there is no such thing as conspiracy theory anymore.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I heard that the other day. There is no such thing as conspiracy theory anymore. We have proven
conspiracy fact.
There is no...
no, you're right. It's conspiracy fact. Yeah.
So, that's it's not a big conspiracy. It really is happening. It's happened, so.
Well, you probably know that the term conspiracy theory was actually coined by the CIA.
No, I didn't know
that has come out. That they made a concerted effort decades ago in order to try to defame people who were trying to get at the truth, to call them conspiracy theorists, to use that label again and again and again in a deprecatory way, so as to make people, to associate the term conspiracy theorist with some wacko.
Right. And simply amazing, the orchestration behind the scenes of this meeting, because the last thing I want to talk about was Charlie Manson.
Oh, okay. All right.
This came up in the UU room, and I have to admit, embarrassingly almost, because I was also raised in the age where he was crazy. I never listened to him talk. I listened to a highlight reel of him, and oh my gosh, there wasn't one thing that he said that I didn't wholeheartedly agree with.
Interesting.
I've never listened to him talk. I just heard the stories.
Right. And so and that was what we were taught, what I was taught, that programming, that he was just this psycho, and he was, he manipulated these women, and then they committed these horrendous crimes. And now when I hear him talk, I'm wondering if he was just very awake and they were scared of him, and if there was some sort of conspiracy, and this he was framed, because if he was this awake then, he would have definitely been a threat.
Well, interesting.
Right.
So go back and listen to some of these. They have several of his interviews kind of lumped together, and I don't know if they cherry picked what they, on the UU room. There's a couple. I'll send you the link.
Okay, but for anyone listening,
in the UU room, it was just like
in the description, the YouTube description.
Yeah, we'll put the link. We'll put the link to it. It's it's like a some of his interviews compiled over the last 20 or so years, and it's just like little excerpts from, you know, in different topics. And I was floored. I mean, he talks about, when they ask about Jesus, and he goes, well, there's a Jesus in Florida, and there's a Jesus here. He goes, there is no Jesus. It's a consciousness. It's in your mind. The Christ consciousness. I mean, the things he was saying, I was like, I must be crazy then, because I believe Charles Manson knew what the hell he was talking about.
Right.
I mean, he was so enlightened and is so enlightened. I was just shocked.
Well, yeah, some of the things that Osho has said, you know, some of his writings are, you know, pretty amazing. And look at all the controversy that surrounded him. Of course, there was a lot of controversy around it. But some of the things he actually
also known
said,
as Rajneesh.
Rajneesh, right? But some of the things he actually said were actually quite beautiful. So who knows?
Absolutely.
It's very interesting.
Well, it definitely, okay, so I wanted to mention, you know, we had the, where there was miscommunication and we were all feeling a certain thing, but nobody was saying anything during one of our meetings. And I went back and actually watched that video, and from that perspective, I didn't feel the aggression. And so from that perspective that day, from sitting here, being outside of the meeting,
right,
in a different energy, not feeling like I was being attacked, you know what I mean? Not participating, from a different vibration altogether, watching this video, I'm beginning to wonder if there's an energy that distorts our perception. If that's not really how things are coming at us. You know, you mentioned it, Sandy, that you can say something and some people perceive it completely different. It's an energy.
Yes, exactly.
Can there be an energy that moves through us and around us that distorts our perception?
I think absolutely that can be true.
We've heard different stories about, you know, these frequencies being beamed at us from cell phone towers and that kind of thing.
That affects people.
Part of a mind control.
Well, what I heard different words that day than when I went back and watched it.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
The words were different.
That still could be mind control of some sort.
Absolutely. So I'm hearing somebody attacking me, you know, being confrontational.
Right.
I go back and watch it, and I did not perceive it that way.
Interesting.
So maybe take a look at that and see how you feel, Sandy. I'd be interested to see what your feelings are. Don't look at yourself. Just.
So what's the lesson learned?
No, I'll put my blinders.
What's the lesson learned from that then?
Is really, to be honest, obviously we talked about being honest about what we're really feeling, you know, but maybe to not jump to conclusions.
So
hey, y'all said that exactly the same time. Did you hear that? Yeah. It was like, maybe not jump to conclusions. You both said it was funny.
Yeah, because just because the person who was perpetrating may have been feeling the same way as we were. I think it might have been an energy that was distorting all of our views. That is my final analysis.
I think I'm going to agree with you on that. Okay. Thumb up on that. I think you're right about that too. But as we said too, you know, I have a tendency to do that, or to be maybe a little bit too hypersensitive to how someone's reacting to me, just because I've had that experience before that we mentioned. So I think just checking, and then I'm trying to also, when I get triggered, I'm trying to have the awareness to just stop and take a breath and look to see, you know, isn't that interesting? What is triggering me about whatever it was that was coming in, just so I can kind of witness, you know?
Well, and it's important to do that anyways, because typically it is something inside of you. It's, you know, whatever is going on. Anytime that I'm triggered, it's usually my own weaknesses that are being reflected back.
Yeah.
It seems to me like this is fundamental to navigating the new paradigm, right?
Absolutely. I think
To always sort of have the frame of mind where you can, like, or the presence of mind to be able to just stop and just
step back into awareness,
take a breath.
But from the other side of that too, so I want to share a quick story, and I found this so interesting because I was in a workshop once, and we were role playing. And so a group of us was supposed to be role playing with another group, and we were working with anger. So I got to role play being angry, you know, with like a couple of people. So we had to create a scene, and I was the angry with several others, and the other people were on the receiving end of it. And so we did our scene. And at the end of the scene, this woman came over to me and she was like crying and hysterical and very upset. And I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she said, the energy that I felt from your anger. She was like really hysterical. She said, it was just so intense. Well, I was like, what? We were playing a game. It was like not even real. It was, we were pretending, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I also realized that, you know, we have an impact. So I try to be aware of the impact I'm having, as you said, going also in the other direction. So
Yeah.
what is coming, what do I feel is coming to me that is triggering, but also what am I possibly sending out there too?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be responsible
For that. So
be responsible for your energy.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I was completely, you know, I was shocked because there was no way that I would have felt
Well,
it could have been that intense.
yeah, you know, and even something like that, I think that so many of us are empathic on a level that we just do not understand. We don't even understand. Most of us don't even know that we're empathic to begin with.
Right.
That we're picking up other people's energies, whether it be real or not. We're completely oblivious. We're just living in the story and going from moment to moment, just
Yes.
unaware of all of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of people.
Yeah. So anyway, very interesting. Well, thanks for that. Well,
All right. Well, I think that. Does anybody else have anything else to? I think that's all the topics. Is there anything else?
I'm
I
good.
think
I think we're good.
I'm good. And
Great
then we can
meeting.
do a little
A little 5 minutes.
heart-centered breathing.
That sounds great. Do you want to explain that for us?
Okay, so heart-centered breathing, the way I learned it was from Heart Math. I think just go to heartmath.com. And it's a very simple process. It is to call to mind an experience you had in the past, or it could be right now, where you're feeling amazing. And just take that feeling, take that beautiful feeling, and breathe it in and out of your heart. Breathing that feeling in, breathing it out, and then as we do this for a minute or two, then also imagine that you're breathing it out onto the planet throughout humanity, breathing that feeling in and out of the heart, expanding it to all humanity.
Great.
So, okay.
Okay.
So
Stand by.
we're going to mute now, and
5 minutes, and we'll let y'all know.
we'll let you know when 5's up. Okay. Okay.
So how was that for everybody?
Good. How about you?
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, good.
Well, so tell Ian. I hope you feel better if he's hearing.
Yeah, he's almost there. And we're thinking that there is something to that. Remember we discussed not taking anything to get rid of the symptoms, and his cold is almost gone. He's just at the tail end of it now. So
Right.
I'm thinking that taking your DayQuils and your NyQuils, while yes, you're getting maybe a little relief, you're extending it out much longer.
Right. That's good too.
You might feel a little bit really crappy for about 2 days, I think is the worst of it.
Yes.
But cut it down by days. You know, you're knocking 4 days off of it.
That's great.
So
That's great. Yeah.
I think there's something to that. Again, we're going to have to look at some of these chemicals and see what they're really doing to us.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Terrific.
All right. Very good.
So Sunday. See you Sunday. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Okay.
You too. All right. Bye-bye. Good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.